Hello, and welcome to the PowerScore LSAT podcast, episode 44. This is Jon Denning in Los Angeles.
And this is Dave Kaloran in breezy Northern California.
Is it breezy up there?
It's a high wind day out here, so yes.
Well, let's hope it's not too dry, because I know what happens. They cut your power off.
No, that's not until the fall, usually.
Well, apparently I don't know what happens.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that right now. That's not a spring season issue.
Fair enough.
John's referring to fire in Northern California, which is obviously a serious issue that hopefully we don't have to deal with again this year, or at least not for a long time.
Yeah, that is not breezy, in fact. Anyway, I'm glad you've got the power on, buddy. Let's talk about something else powerful. What's your cocktail?
This is less of a cocktail and just more of a straight out and out shot, which will make a little bit more sense when we get to the music and then the topic of the episode.
You think so, but I don't know this will ever make sense. Go ahead.
This is a rarity for me. I almost was going to go with an Irish car bomb, which is one of my favorite drinks. If you're really going to drink fast, this is my way to do it. Which is Guinness, and then a shot of Jameson and Bailey dropped into the Guinness, and then you drink it really fast.
Otherwise, the Bailey's curdles, or at least curdles whatever else is there. Some of my favorite nights with you have been Irish car bomb fueled. So
either at the beginning or the end.
Or sometimes
I remember taking them in New York when we were there.
Both.
I don't know, in May.
One of the last times you were down here in LA, if you remember that Santa Monica bar.
Yes.
Yeah. Where my ex-girlfriend, you and I all carried each other out of the bar somehow.
That's correct.
Yeah. We were looking for a wheelbarrow for the three of us. What are you drinking instead?
So, keeping with that bomb theme, I've gone for the Jägerbomb.
Yeah.
Which is equally, I think this is far more terrible, but the thing is it's easier to make, and I didn't quite have everything ready to go on this.
Far more terrible.
And so I was like, I have Jaeger and I have Red Bull, I can do that.
That's hilarious.
By the way, side note, if you're in Ireland, don't order an Irish car bomb. They don't like it. It's considered bad form over there.
Unless you're in Belfast, in which case they might recruit you.
They dislike it even more.
Yeah. Depends maybe where in Northern Ireland. All right. I have spent the middle portion of my day with a dear girlfriend who's up visiting me from San Diego. And we were at, this is a strange place to go, but we were at Italy. And she ordered a Bloody Mary that was so extravagant. That's not her fault. It's just how they make them. It came with herbs and spices, and there was mozzarella sticks, and it looked like the sort of thing that you could only get on a dare.
There was no mozzarella stick in it.
I promise you there was a mozzarella stick in there.
You sure it wasn't celery that was deep fried?
No, I actually squeezed it. I was like, that's mozzarella.
You squeezed the mozzarella?
I did. And she was like, get your hands out of my drink. She might come back. We'll see. But in the meantime, it inspired me, and so I actually ordered some Bloody Mary mix from Italy, and I'm sitting here having a Bloody Mary. It's delicious.
All right, well, I'm going to do this Jägerbombs, whatever.
Boy, I'll just sit back and be proud of you.
Regret this later, I can tell you that right now.
I almost feel like I'm drinking vegetables, and you're drinking death.
You know what? I'm counting on the Red Bull to carry me through that.
Good luck, my man.
I don't like Jaeger that much, but whatever. You drink it fast and it's fine.
Fair enough. Well, this is the only time in the history of this podcast I think I might have made a better drink decision.
No, I think one other time I had a worse drink decision.
There was one other time? All right.
Yeah.
You know what? You had a bad day one time and you were drinking, oh God, how am I blanking on this? Long Island iced teas.
What's wrong with that?
That you had
It's one of the world's great drinks right there. One of the tastiest drinks full of alcohol.
I was going to say the number you had, but yeah, fair enough.
Did I have 8 of them?
Yeah, something like that. I was going to say 19, but somewhere in the middle.
I love a Long Island. I really do. When I was in my early 20s, that was my drink of choice. I would just drink those like nobody's business and go out at night. Now
you're in your early 30s, though, and I wonder if it's still a good decision.
No, that's why I moved to White Russian, because that's much more settling.
Fair enough. Tell me about music.
Music choice is all me. I didn't like your music choice last time with the depressing Hozier.
You know, if I could do it again, I would have actually picked a different song. There's a song on that same album called Almost that I would recommend instead.
When are you and Hozier getting married, do you think?
As soon as he will return my phone calls.
He won't. He's blocked your text.
I wish he would text me back. Andrew, if you're listening, text me back.
Well, the song of choice today is from a kind of a very poppy artist. Her name is Tove Lo. Yeah. She's, if you say it in her native, it's like Tove Lo. But the song is Timebomb, which is off of her first album. I was fortunate enough on Thursday night to go to her show at the Masonic in San Francisco.
Amazing.
And she tore it up. Although I will say this, that crowd was sweaty and packed, and wasn't my most enjoyable crowd experience, but she was amazing. I love her to death, and she's just super fun. It's also the type of crowd where midway through the set,
I wondered if you would tell this story, and it seems like you're about to. Go for it.
There's a song that Tove Lo has called True Disaster, which I think is another killer song. Great video for it. It's like downtown LA at 6 a.m. She crashes a car and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, the song's called True Disaster. I've been waiting for her to play it, and Amanda and I are standing there. We're enjoying it. We're having a good time. And then we realize that there's a girl in front of us who is now completely passed out while on her feet. And the crowd is just kind of pushing her around. She's standing and getting pushed around, but she's clearly not with us. And so my wife, who is a very thoughtful, considerate person, was like,
an angel.
I have to go do this.
Yeah.
And so she actually shepherded the girl out of the main floor and was able to get her outside and get her medical attention. And she felt really bad. She was like, I'm really sorry. I wrecked that song. I wrecked the show. I was like, you didn't wreck anything.
Wait, the girl said that or Amanda did?
No, Amanda felt really bad because she was like, this girl's distracting us. We're not having as much fun. I was like, actually, I had a lot of fun still. I felt bad for you not having fun.
That's because you stayed in.
Yeah, the guy next to me was like, your girlfriend's the best. I love her. And I'm like, she is the best.
She's the best. I married her.
I was like, really? No. If you go to a show, and let's just be honest, as it turned out, the girl had eaten an entire edible, and her friend had said, you should only eat half. But she's like, no, I want to party. And I'm like, and look what happened. Everybody suffered because you wanted to party so hard. Anyway, the song that we've chosen today is Timebomb. And you might notice a little theme, Jägerbombs for me, Timebomb for the song. That's a pretty simple one because what we're talking about is the new LSAC digital LSAT subscription program, which I think is going to be a huge bombshell within the preparation landscape in terms of having something that's accessible. And so we're going to talk about the new program that they have coming out and how I think that'll change the way people are preparing and some of the strengths and weaknesses of it. It's actually a really cool thing that they've done. We'll get into the details of it. I have a feeling that going forward, almost everybody who takes the LSAT is going to end up purchasing this directly from them.
Yeah, I suspect if you listen to this shortly upon release, it may be the first you've heard of it. Certainly it's brand new, so
yeah,
I'm excited to talk about it too.
This is just now breaking news. Mm-hmm. So this will be released as they actually release that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Obviously.
Let's go into the LSAT world, John.
Yeah, speaking of
what's
breaking
been going
news
on there?
Well, sadly enough, there's a lot going on in the world in general, and its affected how LSAT administrations have kind of played out, or as we're about to see, how they haven't played out. There were earthquakes in Puerto Rico that led to the cancellation of or if not the cancellation, at least the extension of the registration deadline for the March test. I hope that there are no cancellations in Puerto Rico. Goodness knows, those guys have seen enough. The cancellation, the registration extension in Puerto Rico is now March 3rd. So if you're listening to this, you've still got some time. There have been some other issues that have occurred, obviously, in the world, especially on the west coast here, due to further west situations. LSAC has suspended administrations in China due to the Wuhan coronavirus. And it looks like in South Korea as well, there have been suspended administrations. So we're just kind of waiting for updates as to when those tests are going to be able to be re-administered.
Do you know the World Health Organization says that they do not want viruses named after the cities or regions to kind of avoid future bias.
Sorry to the WHO, but sadly enough, we know where this one kind of cropped up.
We do, but that's why they call it COVID-19. And
right. It's a shame that swine and birds don't get the same consideration.
I think it was after that they began changing what they were calling when they had like the avian flu. People were like, "That's not fair to birds." It creates a bad environment around it.
Interesting. Yeah, there's some sort of prejudice now against pigeons, as there should be. By the way, they're awful. Flying rats.
Yeah, there you go. We both agree.
Yeah, we clearly do.
Anyway, the coronavirus situation is obviously serious, and there's two elements to this. You can see that LSAC is already taking steps in places like China and South Korea. I would not be surprised to see a few other countries be added to that list if they haven't already.
Would you be surprised to see ours?
Perhaps. Well, right now I would be, but perhaps not in a few months. We'll have to see. This is one of those things you record in the moment and you don't really know what's going to happen over the next several months. Clearly, the virus is here. Clearly, it has gotten out due to the incompetence of our government. I have no words for it. It's 20 miles away from me.
You do have
started
words
at Travis Air Force Base, so I'm really familiar with the situation and how they've handled it, or should I say mishandled it.
Yeah.
So you don't bring it over here and then let it get out as easy as they did. So the question is could that cause problems down the road? And the answer is most definitely.
For sure. Yeah.
I saw reports earlier today of schools in certain locations in the U.S. closing because they wanted to be able to clean the schools and, get the students away from each other.
Yeah.
And if this happens, if an LSAT administration happens right in the middle of a serious outbreak, they will for sure postpone it, delay it, cancel it, whatever's actually needed. I have no doubt about that. They'll follow the public health directive. So it's nothing to worry about right now.
No, if anything, I think they're overly cautious when it comes to this, and that's not a criticism at all. There's no pejorative to that. That's a good thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, if only our government had been more cautious when they handled the patients that were coming back.
All the more reason not. I know. Well, I may have. All the more reason not to take a cruise.
Cruise industry could be in trouble for a while.
Could be.
Well, whatever. When they flew them into Travis, and Travis is over the hill from us.
I know. You're right next to it, and you also have a wife and a young child. So,
yeah, I had to pay attention to it. So I've really paid close attention to it, and I've, to be honest, been utterly appalled.
Yeah, I've got enough vodka in me that the coronavirus doesn't stand a chance. But you, on the other hand, I don't know what your kid's up to, but I assume.
It actually likes vodka, the virus does, so you're actually in more trouble than you thought.
I thought you were talking about your daughter. I was like, no.
No vodka for her.
All right.
Not for a long time.
Let's make that clear.
When she's 35, she can look at a bottle. Anyway, could it affect the U.S. tests? Most definitely.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how that actually plays out, and right now it's way too early, but there are some worrying signs, and we'll just have to see what happens.
Can I put speaking of public health, just awareness, there was an article I read yesterday that says that the best way to protect yourself from this virus or against this virus, and I think this is probably just good hygiene policy anyway, is to wash your hands really well. It's not the sterilizing face masks that I see literally everywhere on the streets here. I watched people eating lunch today, pulling masks down to take bites and putting masks back on, and I was like, that's at least cut a straw hole in there. So I think it was too much. Wash your hands well. That's what they say is the best way to be preventative.
Well, down in San Francisco, I saw some masks.
Yeah, man.
So we're going to see more of that.
Tove Lo masks. I hope they
didn't see those,
was
man.
She not
no one
selling
at the concert
merch?
had any.
That's the new merch.
She was selling a bunch of merch.
Yeah.
My wife bought a
T-shirts and
shirt and a hoodie, which she really liked.
Yeah, T-shirts and pharma suits, hazmat suits.
Yeah. No hazmat suit.
Not yet. Anyway, I don't think it's going to become an issue, but people should be at least kind of on the lookout and aware of it.
It is what it is.
It is what it
Thanks,
is.
government. Anyway, let's move along.
All right, Kaczynski. What else? I don't know who's going to get that reference, but I know you do.
Oh, I got it.
I know you do.
I understand it. I understand a Unabomber reference when I hear it. Can't get that past me.
I can't get anything past you, pal.
In this case, though,
right.
I know that the government screwed up, so that's a fact.
That was a bad move. We were talking earlier about Jovovich movies, and that this is kind of what it feels like the beginning of.
The Resident Evil, the T-virus is out.
Exactly.
This is the new Raccoon City. Is that what you're saying?
That's precisely what I'm saying. Speaking of the LSAT world, though, let's move on to, I don't even know if this is happier news, but it is an update. The new law school rankings are about to come out.
Which is interesting. They've chosen, once again, St. Patrick's Day, 3/17.
It was an impossible segue for me to make, but let's keep
going. It really is. But what is it about the 17th of March this year? I mean, certainly St. Patrick's Day. Now the U.S. News and World Report law school rankings will be released on that day. And, of course, we already know that the February LSAT results are being released on that day.
It's a big day.
So, I mean...
it's a good day to drink regardless. But
you're covered.
How many more reasons do you need?
Happy news, let's party. Sad news, party some more.
Yeah.
Your law school that you're interested in moved up, party. It moved down, party again.
My goodness.
You're covered.
All right, I'll see you on the 17th. I'm coming up. Break out the Tove Lo masks. I'll be there.
I will. Anyway,
have we discussed the amazing math fact that you told me about this? We have? I think we have.
Yeah, I don't think you were present at our last episode, but we talked about it then.
I was present. But for anyone who wasn't, it's a fascinating fact. I encourage you to go back.
What is that lyric from Robert Palmer? The lights are on, but you're not home. Is that kind of what it was?
Probably. I'm so distracted.
Apparently, I think your love life has you distracted.
It does.
Among other things.
Let's
move on to the news of the day, the real time bomb, the bombshell, the Jägerbomb, the Irish car bomb. Let's talk about that.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's talk about this new LSAC program. They call it a subscription, by the way, but it really isn't monthly.
What's the official name?
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
It's something you buy for a year, and it's called Official LSAT Prep Plus. And what it is their way of giving you access to LSATs that are in digital form so you can take them on a digital platform, which is basically the same thing that they have right now with their familiar interface. So Official LSAT Prep Plus is the name of it. It costs $99 for 1 year access.
It's $100 a year, basically.
It's $99.
Mm.
You can go to McDonald's with that extra dollar and get an extra value something or other.
I don't know what anything at McDonald's costs, but I'm sure you're right.
There's a dollar menu there.
Okay. Yeah. If the ice cream machine is ever working, you can probably.
True.
Yeah.
I don't know if ice cream's $1 there.
I have no idea either. I just know that notoriously the ice cream machine's always broken. And I've heard there's a conspiracy to this, that it's only because it's the most frustrating thing for the employees to refill. And so they just claim it's broken even though
it's too much work, so they just break it.
Well, no, it's empty because to refill it apparently is such a chore.
Huh.
I know.
Well, $99, it's not $100.
Sorry.
The extra dollar could be a McChicken or something, whatever's on their menu.
Yeah. Filet-O-Fish.
Do they still have that?
I don't know. I think they do. I think Donald Trump keeps them in business on the Filet-O-Fish.
What?
That's one of his favorite things. Yeah, he's a huge fanatic for Filet-O-Fish.
Things I know way too
much. Yeah, I know way too much McDonald's
need to
trivia.
know, and we'll forget immediately, hopefully.
I encourage anyone who listens to this to forget that immediately.
So anyway, $99 for 1 year of access. Now, the big thing that I think is the most important is, what do you get access to?
Of course, yeah.
All right, and I'm going to frame this by saying, right now they've got their books of 10, which cost about $20 or so.
Uh-huh.
You can buy individual prep tests for about $8. The new program at the time of recording here has access to 71 LSATs in a digital testing format.
Right.
And that is the $99 access. So this is what I said earlier when I'm like, I think everyone's going to end up getting this. It's going to become the default way to take LSATs, or at least to be able to get a hold of them. The presentation here, 71, I've talked to them about the numbers a few times now. There's not really a good reason for why 71. That's just what they felt they were able to put out. let's take a look at the tests that you actually get.
Before we do, let me actually interject one quick point, because you said you can get individual tests currently for about $8. I should note that those are paper tests, or we should note. To buy digital tests from LSAC proper, there's really not an option, right?
Yeah, so, if you want a digital LSAT, that's not one of their familiar tests currently, you can't get it.
Yeah.
Like PrepTest 89 is unavailable from them. You can get it from us, but not from them, interestingly enough.
PrepTest 65 is unavailable from them in a singular form at this point.
Yeah. Now, the tests that they're including with this, 71's a lot. First off, they're including June 2007. They're also including what's called Form 96, which is the third test in the second Super Prep book. It doesn't have an official name or date. They just call it Form 96. So those are the two that are that are non-numbered prep tests. Yes. The remainder are prep tests 19 and 20, and then 22 through 88. So, a ton of tests there.
Yeah, that's a heck of a run.
And I think, the first question that I had for them was, what's going on with the tests that aren't included? So, meaning specifically, where's Prep Test 89? Right. And this is what they told me. We are probably going to include it eventually. I think it just wasn't ready for their production schedule. And so they've kind of intimated they believe that they will be adding the most recently released LSATs to the system over time. They just don't have a plan for it specifically.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the things that, we've been aware that this is coming. What we didn't know was when. They had made some noises that they were initially going to do this at the end of last year, and then it got pushed a little bit, and I understand production snags and things like that. So we've actually not really known when it's going to show up. I was under the impression that it could easily be months from now that this actually appeared. So they've moved it a little bit faster than I thought they would be able to their credit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
this repertoire of 71, I think, is going to grow. I hope the cost doesn't.
I don't think that it will.
I don't either.
The pricing thing was a big issue. Obviously, this was something that we know that they looked at closely. We had urged them, hey, make the cost as reasonable as possible. And my hope had been keep it under $100. And so for that when I heard the price was going to be $99, I was like, good move. All right. It's really hard in test preparation, whether you're looking at the GMAT or the GRE or the SAT, to basically get a release test for $1.50.
Oh, yeah.
And so what they've done here, I think, is eminently reasonable. Do I think it's perfect? No, of course not. There's some things that we'll talk about where I'm like, hey, I think they could either change this in the future or there's opportunities here. But either way, $99 for 70 plus tests. And I think on their website, they're going to have 65 plus tests as their initial listing. So if you see some discrepant numbers, that's why.
Yeah.
But that's a really good deal compared to what we see right now, not just in the LSAT market, but in other markets. So I think that's going to be a pretty big hit in terms of like people saying, all right, this is a relatively cheap way to get these tests and to be able to work with them.
Yeah, you think about that. That's over 7,000 questions for $100, $99. That's pretty good, man. You and I think, we never pull punches when it comes to this, but in this particular regard, I'm comfortable saying props to them.
I told them I thought it would be wildly successful.
Yeah.
And I think they believe that it will. And so they were happy to hear that, but I think that was their expectation too.
Yeah.
Now, one of the tests that oddly enough is not included is 21. It was the first thing I noticed on the list. And my first question was, why'd you skip 21? Is there something special about 21?
Yeah, they have 19 and 20. And they have
19,
22.
20 and 22 onward, but not 21. And as I said to them, I was like, you realize that every conspiracy theorist in the world is going to go out and get 21. And it's probably going to be $500 on eBay to get a hold of this. And they had a laugh about it. They're like, it's nothing nefarious or underhanded. The issue is that 21 wasn't fully digitized.
Yeah.
And so transferring it over to the format of their testing interface wasn't something they could do very easily. And I think that applies to some lesser extent to tests 1 through 18 as well. And I realize that some people out there might be thinking, that's just BS. That is a fake excuse. It is not, surprisingly, and I can confirm that it's legit, and I'll tell you why. We've been a licensee for LSAC for years and years. I've been personally a licensee since into the 90s. And so when you take a look at the tests, at a certain point a long time ago, they used to just hand out the paper tests. They'd send it to you. And then they started doing, like they'd email it around, the digital tests. And I asked them, I was like, can I get every LSAT in digital form? Because I want it straight from you guys. No scanning, no typos, no formatting issues. And the response that they gave me was no. And of course, I was chafed about that. I was like, whatever, dude. We pay licensing fees that are not insignificant. You could do a little service here. And they said back to me, they're like, no. It's not because we're jerks. It's because we don't have them.
Which, of course, is what they would say to begin with.
Yeah.
As opposed to well, no, we just don't like you personally.
They didn't have them in that form. And so they're like, we just don't have it that way. It's never been digitized because it was too early. And I was like, oh. So that's actually been frustrating. Every test prep company that has offered LSATs has had to actually format them and reconfigure them, and it's just foolishness.
Yeah, you and I can both speak to the very obvious fact, the objective truth that to digitize these tests is hard to do. There's an incredible amount of legwork, manpower involved.
Yeah, and to have to do it from scratch is incredibly frustrating. So it's not that 21 is anything special. It's just that this was a test that had never been digitized apparently, and they just were like, "Look, we're moving too quickly.
It's
we're not
special
worry
now.
About it."
It's special now. It's a Ty Cobb rookie card or something. Whatever. What was that guy's name?
Honus Wagner.
Honus Wagner. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. This is now the new.
It's like the 1906 Pittsburgh Pirates baseball card is worth
Of course,
millions.
You know more about this than I do. Ugh.
Well, it's related to sports, so yes. Your sporting knowledge
Fair enough. Well, I wasn't alive back then, so that's probably the distinguishing thing.
True. Me neither.
Okay. Anyway, look, so are we going to continue to see 89, 90, 91, 92? How long do you think this is going to go before they either pull the plug or up the rate or start to pull old tests out of the loop?
I think that's the more likely scenario that, if they add like 95 eventually, that they go ahead and they kill 19.
Yeah.
They add 96 and they kill 20.
20, yeah.
Yeah. Now, will they continue to post individual LSATs, and will they continue to sell the paper books?
From everything I've heard, and I know you've heard the same thing because we're both on the call, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And keep in mind, too, anyone listening, that there are only 3 of these a year that get released. So, at most, if you're looking down the road, it's going to be a long time before we get to 100.
Yeah. They were clear about this because, obviously, one of the things that we wanted to know is this available? Are the paper tests going away? And they're like, no. We need them for 2 things, primarily. We need them for accommodated test takers, and we need them for international test takers. Especially for people who are preparing and so forth. So we're still going to print those. I don't think they'll print as many, obviously, but they'll watch it. Their comment was, a lot of this is fluid. We'll review it as time passes, but our initial program indicates that we're keeping at least paper copies out there. So if you are international right now and they haven't gone digital, you'll still have access to those paper copies.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to pay $500 for that on eBay.
And don't, by the way, if you do see that auction. But yeah, no, both I think are going to be offered side by side for quite a long time.
I agree. So one of the questions that you get is, where can you get this new subscription? So really, there's only one place, and that's the LSAC website.
Yeah.
They're going to be the central repository for this. It goes through their program. So you'll have to end up purchasing it, and they're going to want you to use your, all your LSAC information and your account information. So it'd be relatively seamless.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're going to have to go in much the same way that you would register for the test or sign up or figure out your test center situation or if you don't check the email, get your score. It's all through the exact same, at least initial starting point. And that's a good thing, I think. Imagine if they split all this stuff up. CAS was a site, and they were a site. So at least it's all compiled and central.
Yeah, and I think ultimately that'll make it nice and easy. You sign up for the actual CAS account,
Mm-hmm.
and when you do that, there's really two programs that are in place here. Interestingly enough, when you sign up for your CAS account in the future, what will happen is that you will get access to two prep tests that are currently indicated to be PrepTest 71 and 73. So that's December 2013 and September 2014 LSATs. So when you sign up for an LSAC account, you'll get those two prep tests for free using their familiar site. They're actually on the familiar site right now. Mm-hmm. That program has its own name. It's called Official LSAT Prep. So you don't have to go out and spend $99 to get tests. If you're like, I just want to take one or two, you will have that ability with your LSAC account.
Yeah, and that's, I think, an important point to double down on. This isn't like CAS where you have to do it. This is a feature they offer, and I think a good one, but not the sort of like mandatory thing that comes along with applying to law school, period.
Yeah. As I said before, we both agree that I think everybody's going to go ahead and sign up for it.
Kind of a no-brainer, but yeah.
If you're a sophomore in college and you're like, well, I'm not taking the LSAT for another year and a half or 2 years, you don't have to sign up for it until you need it.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and just sign up for the account with LSAC, get 71, 73, fool around with those, worry about it later.
Exactly. Yeah, I just need 5 tests. I don't need to spend all this extra money. There's a way to do that. You could do it through our own site, frankly. If you want to do this individually, if you want PrepTest 89, come see us.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when they're going to add 89, if ever. They claim that they will, but that's not written in stone. One of the questions I asked them was, you have a $99 fee. Is there a way to bypass this? Are there fee waivers for it? Can you get it for free? And indeed there are.
Yeah.
Going forward, if you are granted a fee waiver for the LSAT itself, you will go ahead and get a free subscription. So that'll be your $99 waived over the course of a year. Mm-hmm. And then they're also doing something else, which I actually think is really cool. And that is, if you have gotten a fee waiver in the past 2 years, all right, in the prior 2 years, you will then automatically be granted a free subscription to this digital LSAT program, the LSAC Prep Plus. So, not bad.
No, I mean, in fact, quite good.
Well, can you imagine if you were granted a fee waiver on like January 3rd, and then you're like, what? Now I have to pay this $99, and this guy who was granted a fee waiver 2 months after me doesn't? It'd be kind of irritating.
I can't imagine that. I'm hoping that they take these things case by case.
Yeah, well, in that instance, that person
would be case by case would be the same outcome, but yeah.
Well, 2 years ago, case by case, but they're grandfathered in, so that actually makes it pretty convenient.
If I've gotten a vibe from the fee waiver aspect of this, it's that they're going to be more generous, perhaps, than history would lead you to suspect.
Agreed. Yeah, I think they wanted to be aggressive in terms of how they priced this. They did that. I think they wanted to make sure that it was accessible to as many people as possible. They've done that successfully.
Yeah.
As we said earlier, I think it's a slam dunk positive development. Yeah, $99 is not peanuts, but for what you're getting, it's a pretty good deal.
I mean, again, 7,000 plus questions and growing potentially. That's, for a year. For a year. By the way, I mean, that's quite an offer.
I think they're going to make a lot of money on this.
That's clearly not where our main concerns lie.
No, but I think that's what's going to happen for them. And I think they certainly want their revenue. I think this will also, because of the low price, help drive piracy down. And I know that's something they've been concerned about, is the unauthorized use of LSAC questions or torrents out there. At a price this reasonable, it's kind of like, it's kind of like Apple. It's like iTunes.
When you can buy an iTunes song for $1, or 99 cents. That's not it's not $100, it's $99. It's the same thing. Yeah, nobody really pirates music anymore because it's relatively cheap to buy music. I think this is going to do the same thing. I know piracy's been a huge concern of theirs. We've dealt with it as licensees.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who's ever created anything of value has dealt with piracy in one form or another. We certainly have. They have.
I mean, we deal with it as content creators too, of course. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, one of the nice things is that we had asked them about the platform delivery in terms of like how accommodations friendly it was going to be, how accessible this was. And the one thing that's interesting is the program that they're going to offer these tests on is different from the tablet-based program they use for the LSAT.
Yeah.
And that's because the tablet-based program is a closed system that they have complete control over. They don't have complete control over whether you have an iPad or a Windows Surface, whether you're on an iPhone or whether you're on a desktop. But all of this is still as accommodations friendly as they could make it. It will use the basic tools of your phone, your tablet, your desktop, your laptop, what have you, to allow for things like color changes to the text, text size alterations, various formatting type of elements, just to make it a little bit easier for those who need that kind of alteration to kind of level the playing field.
Right.
So, and that's one of the features they have built into this. Mm-hmm. We've been asked, internally, like, how does the actual system work? And our understanding is that it's very much like the familiar program that they have right now.
Right.
So I have yet to see the operating final model. Obviously, it's coming out right now, so I will see it pretty quickly, but we're recording this just prior to the release.
Right.
One of the things that we know about the way familiar works right now is that you go take the test, and it basically says, oh, section 1, you got 12 right and you got 12 wrong. And it goes on. And then at the end, it's like, okay, that's this many right, and this is your score. It is extremely bare bones in terms of what they offer you as far as analytics, meaning there are none.
Right. Yeah, I'm chuckling a little at the 24 question section that you just referenced. That would just be highly unusual. What was that Logic Games, but a little plus lately?
Could be, yeah.
LR, maybe? Anyway, I realize you just threw numbers out, but that was what went through my head. But yeah, you don't get anything other than just a raw count. That's a little worrisome. If I'm prepping for this thing and all I see is, well, I got 13 right, what do I do next?
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to offer analytics. That's not their game.
No.
They're not. It's not their business to classify the types of questions or the types of reasoning.
Yeah.
That's really completely antithetical with what they do. So I think there's an opportunity there. Obviously our program, which is free, allows you to input your results and then actually get real analytics in terms of how you performed. Maybe they'll expand it over time, but this is something you'll have to look at when you're actually preparing, because having just the raw score isn't that helpful.
Yeah, I don't think it's in their interest to necessarily provide analytics. Look,
exactly.
Yeah, let us help you beat us. Well, who does that? So
not them.
Not them.
I know people are like, oh, the Khan Academy. I'm like, Khan Academy is 10 tests.
You and I see this exactly the same. Even I can tell you one of the big advertisement promotional features of the first digital pilot program they offered, which I was lucky enough to be a part of. That was all sold on wait till you see what we tell you in terms of feedback. Oh man, no.
It was nothing.
It was nothing. It was empty. So
I don't think they understand the state of the market in terms of analytics.
Or the degree to which people who actually know this test can break down what you've done on it and how you move forward. They don't. I mean, and if they do understand it, they're keeping those cards really close to their chest.
Yeah. They certainly know more about the test and certain performance factors than anybody else, but why would they share that?
Exactly.
Maybe they know something about pointed issue questions that they've seen statistically, and they're like, yeah, this is the way to get them. You think they're going to share that with us or anybody? No. Because they'd have to immediately invalidate that presentation and change it to something else. So I think we all agree on that. That's it's what we've always said about Khan Academy. Incredibly useful resource. Free tests. Go use it. It's great for that. You want to take tests and, do questions over and over again and have minimal cost? We love it.
Yeah.
Is it good for teaching? No, not from my perspective. From what I've seen, it's subpar.
I laughed at doing questions over and over again because one of the drawbacks of Khan Academy is that you accidentally do.
It's not accidental. It's intentional.
Well, they're notorious for repeating questions to people who've already seen them, and then score results and outcomes become slightly invalidated. That's what I'm laughing about. I heard a student just complaining about it yesterday, so I'm thinking oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't erase its fundamental value in terms of doing the questions.
At least you see
we're
it.
all for that.
Yeah.
I think this will probably I mean, it's actually a competitor of sorts with Khan Academy, because once you have this, what do you really need from them quite as much? They offer some explanations, but I think that's, the direction things will take. Be aware that, from a test prep standpoint, all the test prep companies will be able to feed into this system and to hook into it. And we'll talk more about that down the line. The $99 program is basically for everybody.
Yeah.
So there's some interesting developments coming down the road in that sense. We'll talk about those more as time passes here. But this is kind of like the first thing that they've really kind of launched out here, where it's like, all right, we see what the direction that you're taking. This is really useful.
Yeah, we should talk, I suppose, about what this means for us, in a way. Yeah?
I don't know.
I know. I feel a little...
It doesn't have that much impact to us.
It does in the sense that I'm really happy for our students to have this kind of access that's cheaper than it would be on, say, Amazon or something. But yeah, I wonder how it's going to actually impact specifically what we offer and what we do.
It really won't, because the licensing it all works out the same, but it's not something I really want to talk about on the public side all that much until everything is finally locked down.
Yeah.
There are big changes taking place, and obviously this is one of them. But as I mentioned, we have access to this the same way that students do, and even have the ability to tie into their system. So there's a lot of possibilities. It really is a matter of deciding what's the best thing to actually do.
Yeah, we have to see how this all shakes out. But in the meantime, in the short term, I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like I said, I think it's going to be the default thing that, 99% of students out there will just go ahead and buy it and be like, this is the easiest way to get these tests for free in the right format. Why not?
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add than that. So consider, if you're listening to this and in the position of maybe beginning your journey through LSAT prep, consider this a real opportunity that your predecessors haven't necessarily had, or at least have had to pay a premium for.
Yeah, and at this point,
a higher premium. It's all a premium. A higher premium. Yeah.
It either should be available on their website, or by the time you hear this, you should at least see the news announcement that they've made about it. We've waited to release this until they gave us the all clear on doing that. So I don't think anything will have changed by that particular time. I think the basics of the program are still there. They've had that locked down for a while here. But always good to check the fine print. Yeah. But 1 year, $99, 70 plus LSATs, digital form, not bad. I think it's well done on their part.
Me too. Yeah, and certainly if anything changes, or as they do, we'll continue to release updates on not only our take on it, but just news in general, what it is that you can expect from LSAC themselves.
Yeah, there'll be more to come on this, because this will have a wave of impacts in the test preparation options that are out there. It's not going to affect the so-called bigger courses. And I mean like courses that last like 8 to 10 weeks that are designed to be comprehensive. Those are not going to be affected by this at all. In fact, they'll include this and use it as a big feature of it. Yeah. It will affect some of the programs maybe that are a little bit less expensive, because it's harder to use their questions now, because you have to kind of use this system to some extent. So we'll certainly talk about that impact, but that's something that will be coming and will have an effect over the coming months here.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, we'll touch on these things as we go. This is the beauty of a podcast, is that we're
indeed
pretty much in the moment.
We can record it anytime we want and talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
Any final comments? Because it's a pretty short episode, but that's what happens when a bomb goes off. It's short and explosive and has a big effect, and then people run away.
How am I going to improve on that?
You can't.
I don't think I can.
And on that note, thanks so much for listening today. If you get a chance, please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or any other place you may find it. Give us a rating, and if you have any questions, you can send those to lsatpodcast@powerscore.com. On behalf of John and myself, have a great day and a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.